So, mothers and others, we're down to our last candidate to introduce you to this evening, and I'm very excited to introduce this candidate. I met Christiane recently, and she's so lovely. So, I'm happy to introduce her to you. Kristian Carranza is a candidate for Texas House District 118. She's running against Republican incumbent John Lujan. Welcome, Christiane. Tell us a little bit about who you are and why you're running for office.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for being on and staying on with me. My name is Kristian Carranza. I'm running in House District 118. So 118 is in San Antonio. It's in Bexar County. This is my first time running for office. I'm 33 years old. I grew up in San Antonio on the south side. It's a really low income area. I was raised by a single mom. So my mom has always had health issues, but she didn't have health insurance. And I started working when I was 16 years old. If you're from the San Antonio area, then chances are that you also had your first job at Bill Miller's barbecue. So when I was 16, I started working at Bill Miller's and, just helping my mom, cover rent and medical bills. And when I got to college in Corpus Christi, I got a call from my mom my senior year of college, and she let me know that her health had gotten worse. And as a result, she had lost her job and was going to have to move into a women's shelter. So I did what I think any daughter would do. I left school. I came back home to work a full-time job, waiting tables, and just help my mom get back up on her feet. And that whole experience really inspired me to work for candidates and campaigns that lift up the dreams of working people. I've been a community organizer for the last 10 years. I've had opportunities to work for folks like Wendy Davis when she ran for governor. I've worked for Gina Ortiz-Jones, Julian Castro, and then most recently I worked for the DNC and the White House, where I laid the groundwork for President Biden's reelection campaign. And I'm very proud of that work, and I'm so proud to be running in House District 118. For those who don't know, House District 118 is one of the few swing districts that we have here in Texas. So when the redistricting happened, House District 118 was a 50-50 seat. And I say it's a 50-50, but if you look at the actual numbers, it's a seat that both President Biden and Beto have won, but we just lost it at the state house level. So as you guys know, there are no donation limits when it comes to state house races in Texas. So what ended up happening was, John Lujan was able to spend about $3 million to take this seat. Or I should say, Greg Abbott was able to spend $3 million to help John Lujan take this seat. So it's definitely winnable. There is a clear path to victory. What we have to do is be able to put together resources and build coalitions. So that's absolutely what I'm doing. I have earned a lot of amazing endorsements. So that includes 8 local labor unions here in San Antonio. I've also earned, the teachers, I've AFT Texas, also, Planned Parenthood, Emily's List, the Texas Organizing Project. So I have a long list of coalitions that I'm building, and I'm raising the money, right? So we know that money is not everything, but it really is important in making sure that we are putting together enough resources to go up against Republicans and making sure that they don't outcommunicate us this year. So in my first kickoff report, I raised more than any first-time San Antonio State House candidate has raised before. And that's because I'm doing the work. So I do call time every day, I'm raising money every day, and I knock doors every single day. So I'm doing what's needed to take on John Lujan in November. So that's when the big fight is, right? I do have a primary opponent that I'm working really hard against right now, and I'm out raising 4-1, but I know that the big fight is going to be in November.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are the top 3 issues you feel are most important for your district?
So, I think that affordable health care and expanding Medicaid is one of the big issues, right? So I know what it's like to have a family member fall into the Medicaid gap, and there's no reason that should still be happening. Texas is one of 11 states that has not expanded Medicaid. And because of that, we have millions of Texans who don't have health insurance. It's the single biggest thing that we could do to expand healthcare coverage in Texas, and we have to do it. So, I think somebody mentioned earlier, being able to work across the aisle. So, I know that if I were to win this seat, that Democrats would still be in the minority, right? So there's going to have to be a lot of work done across the aisle to get these things done. Medicaid expansion is very popular in Texas. Over 70% of Texans believe that we should expand Medicaid. So that would absolutely be one of my big priorities. Another priority is funding our public schools and holding the line against Greg Abbott's vouchers. So, John Lujan was one of the Republicans who voted for the voucher scam. It's really, really important for us to be able to get out that word to our voters because it's really important to folks, right? So, and it's something that we know is going to be a really solid hit. So I'm working really hard again to raise the resources so that way we can make that hit stick, right, this time around. And also just making sure that we're, increasing pay for our teachers. I think that we got to talk about the fact that some of our teachers are making less than they made 10 years ago, which is so crazy when you're also talking about the rising cost of living. I also want to make sure that we're funding different types of programs for kids. And, I would say the third really big issue is respecting women's right to make the decision on our own healthcare, right? So 60% of the electorate in District 118 are women. And I think that women are looking for someone who's going to represent their needs and their healthcare. And it's not lost on me that if I were to win, I would be the first woman and Latina elected to House District 118. So, I also think that stories like Kate Cox are going to keep on happening. And, I'm only 2 years older than Kate Cox. I'm 33. And, so there's a certain urgency that I have when I'm thinking about this issue. So it's definitely one of my big priorities for my campaign.
Yeah, fabulous. So tell us, Kristian, where can we find you and how best can we support you right now while you're running for office?
So you can find me at my website. It's christianfortexas.com. And I think you can see my name. It's Kristian with a K, and it's all spelled out, christianfortexas.com. I am also on all the socials. I'm Kristian4TX. So if you look for that on Instagram and Twitter, and I think I'm still Kristian for Texas on Facebook. If you live in San Antonio or the Bexar County area, I would love for you to come out to our weekend of action this coming weekend. We also have one the following weekend. I'll make sure that you guys get the information. I'll share it with Nancy so that way that can get blasted out. And then if you don't live in Bexar County, then I think the single biggest thing that you could do to help my campaign is to, send in a contribution, $10, $15, $18 goes so far in these races. So, and the way that you can do that is just by going to my website, Kristian for Texas, and you can send a contribution that way.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us this evening. And I look forward to seeing you on the campaign trail. I'm sure I'll run into you pretty soon.